Can you see him centered in the screen?
Yeah, pretty much. He's a little bit to the left, and there's a red thing on, and I think it's recording.
Yeah, it's recording.
Okay.
You moved it just a little when you were trying to push the button.
Not enough, not enough to make any difference.
Okay.
You want to sit here and take care of it? I'll sit where you are on top of your cushion. No.
She was just the double check.
This is a home movie. Not professionally done. Well, welcome. Thank you for coming. My name again is Dean Graves. I'm one of the co-founders of Prima Healing Meditation. This is number 4 in an 8-week series presenting information on 2012, preparing for the shift. Last week we didn't finish up evolution, so there are a couple of items that I wanted to address tonight. They don't need a lot of explanation. And then we'll begin on tonight's topic, which is how creation expands. The items that we didn't address last week that are elements of evolution that help to essentially lower our consciousness and create the environment that we currently enjoy our experiences within. One of the most important things that we have that helps to create our experience is a body. And everybody's familiar with a body. We all have one or we wouldn't be here. But it significantly limits our perspectives of ourselves, and when we from spirit come into the body, it is a significant experience of confinement. Part of what we are doing in this level of consciousness, a large part of what we're doing, is expanding our awareness of our energy system and how expansive that we really are beyond the limits of the body. So that's another major element of evolution that helps to create our experience. And we will have a body also all the way through 6th density. The body that we have in this level of consciousness is deemed as being very chemical, and it's very limited. As I think I've mentioned in previous weeks, the number of DNA that can be activated in the human body is a maximum of 32, which would take us through 4th density. But we are still in 3rd density, having a 3rd density experience. So even though we may have DNA that is activated up to 32, we still are going to experience a 3rd density experience and not experience a 4th density experience. You can't jump the fence until you lose this body. Another major element is our veil, which is only prevalent in 35% of the 3rd density experiences in creation. And the 3rd density experience with the veil is significantly more productive than a 3rd density experience without the veil. The veil essentially causes us to forget that we are spirits. It causes us to forget all the past experiences and other lives that we've had, and we begin anew with each lifetime. We also have another element that is very similar to the veil called forgetting. And forgetting means that we forget all the past lifetimes that we've had. Now, we can recall these. The veil is considered to be semi-permeable, which means through meditation we can penetrate the veil, and we can communicate freely with our higher self, which is the source of this information that I'm providing you. So I guess you could say that I've been penetrating the veil to get this information. So any question about evolution or the last items that we discussed? No? Okay. Good. Well, you know everything about evolution then. We're going to be revisiting a lot of these things. And these are just major topics. They're not considered to be all of the elements. There are a significant number of elements that are pertinent to us on Earth individually, which we will get to hopefully next week.
In last week's presentation, you talked about, you got onto incarnation a little bit, and you talked about the fact that they're actually, these lives are all taking place, there's only the now. And they're all really taking place at the same time
Right.
in terms of the way we think of time. So if they're all taking place in the same time, there really is no evolution, is it? It's really just a matter of remembering. The whole thing is about remembering.
Well, evolution is a process of raising our consciousness, and that's what we're experiencing, is low consciousness. And that is the element of moving away from the Creator. We're not really moving away from the Creator other than lowering our consciousness and moving higher into chaos and away from the stability of the Creator. And evolution is the process of experiencing what we experience at these lower levels of consciousness, and through our experiences collect additional consciousness or amalgamate consciousness, and consequently we elevate our capacity and our ability to experience more of creation. And these elements, the lifelines that are created for us, and in watching the video, I don't know if I made this clear, there is one set of lifelines. We don't each have a separate set of lifelines. There's one set of lifelines, and they're infinite, so every possibility. So at some point you're going to live, you're going to experience my life. I'm going to experience your life. And everybody is going to experience every possible lifetime.
Even the word experience denotes a passage of time, is the way we think of it.
As we think of it.
Yeah.
And that's our linear orientation. Yes, it is. But as we move up through the levels through the densities, through the levels of consciousness, I mean, right now we have a linear perspective, and we have a hard time thinking about, well, I haven't lived that life yet. But it's there. And in the next level of consciousness, we have greater capacity to see lifelines from beginning to end, but it's, relatively speaking, if you think of it dimensionally, it's a narrow width, because we still have relatively limited consciousness.
Do you move back and forth across in there at that stage?
Yeah, because there's no veil, there's no forgetting. And that's what the zero dimension does for us, that it permits us to move into space-time, into time-space. We will have a body, but we will have significantly higher consciousness, and by having access to the zero dimension, we will be able to move into time-space. So yes, we can experience.
But our lessons are primarily in this dimension, in third, so we're having to move back and forth into this dimension, aren't we?
We can't see the others. We can't move into time-space and look around and say, well, there's one. I need that one. I can go over here and experience that. Our perspective causes us to be stuck in this timeline, and we change timelines. Every time we change the elements of our life, we improve our life, or our life deteriorates. What we've done is we've changed timelines. We're experiencing the timeline that already exists. And we're not aware of it, but that's what's happened. In the next level of consciousness, we're aware of it. We experience that life. And in fifth density, the next level of consciousness, we experience them all. We see them all. We experience them all. And then in sixth density, we integrate all of those. We harmonize all of it. But it's a healing process. What we're doing in this lifetime, in this level of consciousness, is we're healing our life. We're experiencing and harmonizing the elements of our life from the limited perspective that we have. In fourth density, we will be doing the same thing on a broader scale. In fifth density, we will be doing the same thing all at the same time. And then sixth density is final healing and harmonizing and unification of all of these lifelines. So it's a progressive process, and our consciousness escalates in order to permit us to do that. But the whole thing is a process of learning to love and have compassion for ourselves. That's the whole evolutionary process. Okay? Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I was just thinking about in some of the classes we talk about having to come into the third dimension to learn, to to experience, to learn. That we don't. It's not so much learning in the fourth and fifth and sixth. It's learning is down here on this one. So
well, this is the most intense learning.
Yeah.
But we learn and heal on fourth and fifth density as well. Sixth density is divided, you remember, into two sections. It's a broad area, and the lower half is more learning. The upper half is pretty much unification.
we really make our biggest progress here, though,
Absolutely.
in this third density.
This is the playing field.
And this is why we choose to come back here.
Yes.
Because we were keen to do that.
Yes, absolutely. Some more keen than others. But yes, this is a very valuable level of consciousness. It's not punishment. It's not something that we loathe to do. Yes, sir.
Okay, let me see if I got this right. Is that the reason why, like, some of us can't do something for a prolonged period of time? They have to break away from it and do something else?
Like what?
Well, life in general, work environments, things you enjoy doing, that you've done that and you're pacified with it, so you move on? Is that what we're doing now?
Well, yes. I mean, we're very subject to changes in energy in this level of consciousness, but for the most part, we are unaware that that's what it is. And we are very responsive to our own availability of energy / consciousness. So someone who is burdened, and we really haven't gotten into this, with, I call it emotional baggage that we have collected. And the more burdened we are with emotional baggage, the less of the allocated consciousness that we have, the energy that we have available to us to function. And I see this so much in meditation, that people they can't meditate. They just literally cannot meditate. And roughly 80% of the world population is in that condition. And it's not because they're not disciplined enough or, any of the usual thoughts. It's because they are so burdened with emotional baggage, carrying this emotional baggage with their consciousness and vital energy, they don't have enough energy to sit still. It takes more energy to harness and to shut out all of the periphery information, all the sights and sounds and thoughts and yada yada, that they don't have enough energy to sit still. Stillness is a reflection of higher consciousness. The Creator is in absolute stillness. And so as we evolve, we will become more and more still. This is the fastest that we will ever move. This is the busiest that we will ever be. As we move up in the densities, we will move much less and less each level. Sixth density is just being. We are the doing aspect of our higher self, which is the being aspect of us.
This is what I'm experiencing. I'm retired for the fourth time, so now I get up in the morning, I get my cup of coffee, and I sit out on the front porch and I count green cars.
Okay. Well, if you're waiting for green cars, you probably have a slow day.
Once a month we'll go back.
Yes, but that's what everyone is experiencing, and a lot of people are experiencing difficulties in what they perceive to be difficulties in functioning right now. And the reason for that is the energy is changing on Earth, and what the energy is changing to do is to slow us down as our consciousness is able to do that. There are parts of the large parts of the population that are totally unaffected by this. They don't know what you're talking about. They're just breezing along. Their consciousness is lower than those that are having difficulty functioning right now, because that's the intent. We're slowing down. We're making a transition to a new level of consciousness. So while our perception is that things are going along at the same speed, and they seem to be going faster to us because we're slowing down. If you're driving along the same speed as a train, and then all of a sudden you start slowing down, to you it looks like the train's going faster. And so people think, wow, things are speeding up. I can't keep up with it. Well, you're slowing down. You're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. What you have to do is change your perspective.
That's not hard to do.
Yeah. Well,
Because now,
it takes a little awareness.
now I don't have to do things. I do them because I want to.
And for the right price,
You know,
I'll
lady
try
can
and
work
buy you a house.
With the green car?
I got a green car, yeah, I'll just.
I'll open it the street for you.
Yeah, I'm not getting in the middle of that. The lady's calling me in the middle of the night. You told him. Okay, any questions about that? Good question. Okay. Creation expands. How does creation happen? How does all of this creation of the octaves and the logos and the galaxies and the solar systems and all of that happen? It happens just like a drop of water falling into an absolute still puddle of water. And it begins at a central point. Creation has a central point. And as the drop of water falls, which if you recall the first week was the focus of the Creator's attention, awareness, on a single point. And that's exactly what happens. And we begin with a single point of awareness, single point of concentration. And just like ripples in a pond, creation expands. As creation expands, the energy, the level of consciousness slowly declines. It's the same pattern. It's exactly the same pattern. As above, so below. Okay? This is all a fractal system. So as creation expands outward, then it has all the basic elements, the same elements as the starting point. Okay? Now what? Yes, sir?
Where did the drop of water come from?
Well, in the first week, we talked about the Creator becoming aware. And as the Creator became aware, he focused his attention. And this is all within the Creator. And that's where the energy, that's where the focus came from. That's where the nucleus is. If you look at that picture, your awareness is on that picture. And that picture becomes the focus of your energy, the focus of your attention. And that's exactly the same thing that happens with the originations of creation. The Creator simply focused his attention on one point, and that point became the point of creation. And it's an arbitrary point. I mean, it's not a matter of this becoming physicality. This is nothing more than the focal point of the Creator's attention. Okay? Now, within this, you have multiple layers. Eighth density perceives itself separate from the Creator. It does the same thing. And through this process, creates seventh density, sixth density, fifth density, fourth, all the way down to first density. It also creates an infinite number of octaves. And within the octaves, or within each octave being slightly different from all the other octaves, works exactly the same way. Did you have a question?
No, scratching your head.
Oh, same thing. So you have the same pattern duplicating itself over and over and over and over. The same pattern creates and evolves each of the octaves. It creates each logos or universe, as we would perceive of it, within the octave. It's the same pattern within each and every galaxy, within each and every solar system within the galaxy, all the way down to us. It's exactly the same in us. Our heart is the point. We have in our heart chakra, and we haven't gotten to chakras yet, but within our heart chakra actually has this two-step process. It has an inner and an outer energy center. The outer center is what we usually think of as being the green ray center, where we exchange energy with those on a love and compassion basis. The inner fourth chakra is actually our White light is what we always have. It is our drop of water. It is our point of beginning. And all of our chakras function just like this. When we exchange energy with other people, this is nothing more than exchanging the energy that we are radiating and receiving from our inner heart chakra. So again, same pattern, it's a fractal pattern. We work exactly the same way the originations of creation work. Okay? It's actually a pretty simple system, but it's a great system. Now, these patterns also create all of the physicality. They create all of the characteristics, all of the archetypes that are exchanged and balanced and so forth. This is also, if you remember, we talked about the consciousness construct that seventh density emanates in order to create suns and planets and the structure that we physically perceive the universe to have. Well, this regulating pattern is also the same. It's exactly the same. Now, these waves, if you were to look at these waves from the side, then they would have peaks and valleys. You would have, at this point, a median point that's exactly the same, that doesn't fluctuate. This is the speed of light. That median point is the speed of light and varies from octave to octave, but it is constant throughout each and every octave. Okay? But this varies, this determines the variance in our experience in creation. Now also these are regularized, but as you go farther away from the Creator, lower in consciousness, when you get down to where we are, these peaks and valleys become variable. They're not constant because we're getting farther and farther away from stability. What these manifest as in us are our ranges of emotions. This is our range of emotions, is how we experience our existence here. And these vary with each star, it varies with each galaxy, it varies with each universe, so that every experience, every one of our experiences, every one of our lifelines is completely unique in all of creation. As we move up in consciousness, as we move up through the densities, these peaks and valleys become more regularized. We are harmonizing. These are created with what we perceive to be sound. Remember, I think it was last week, we talked about each aspect of the Creator, each Ra, Ta, Sol, so forth, all had a note, a musical note that was assigned to it. And what we are doing is regularizing, harmonizing the sounds. Within each logos, within each octave, light does not penetrate the boundaries of that logos or of that octave. Sound does. Sound has no limits. So what we are doing, we are learning ourselves how to harmonize ourselves in this level of consciousness. In the next level of consciousness, we will learn how to harmonize ourselves with other aspects of us, other beings of us. The next level of consciousness, we continue to harmonize with more of we who perceive ourselves to be separate from the Creator. The same in sixth density. Sixth density is unity, but it's still balancing in our experience, the 9 aspects of the Creator. As we move into seventh density, they are harmonizing as well, all the way up through octaves. And octaves all harmonize with other octaves. And when all octaves are finally harmonized, back with the Creator, creation is over.
What's F sharp?
Huh?
Isn't the sound called F sharp? Because we were watching something about that.
Well, F sharp,
It's even in the pyramids.
yeah, well, F sharp is the sound, it's the note of Melchizedek, which is free will. And it is, and I'm not the music expert. A friend of mine that is a music expert was explaining to me that F sharp is the one note that will harmonize either up or down with whatever other note that it's being played with. Jack, you need some water?
No.
You know, it's interesting that the symbol in Reiki for power, chokure, is basically that same design there.
Is it?
Yeah. You have a little thing at the top and the line that come down through the middle, but that's the bottom of that's the main part of that creative power, that symbol.
So as you go up in consciousness, the range of motion of experience, the valleys and the peaks become less extreme and you get closer to life.
Well,
To the
what we're
state of
moving
life.
towards is stability, towards,
So no peaks and valleys.
yeah, the peaks and valleys regularize, and then they become smaller until everything is totally harmonized.
So as everything permeates, the ripple effect permeating from the starting point there, if you were to draw your scale a little more accurately, draw a horizontal line, start out with peaks and valleys until the oscillation becomes more flat line.
Until you reach
Okay.
stillness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stillness would be the line.
It would be the line. It'd be absolute harmony, absolute stillness. Okay? Now, beyond the ripple effect, and what this is harmonizing, what the sound, what the vibration is using to create physicality is intelligent energy. Intelligent energy is light. It is the kinetic part of creation. That's all that we experience. All of our physicality, everything around us, is nothing more than sound regularizing intelligent energy into shapes and forms and experiences. And it's all held in place by the consciousness of seventh density. But it's all just light. There is no physicality. There is no Higgs boson particle. Okay? Everybody got that? No more questions? Okay. Well, if you do, please express them, because I'm sure somebody else has them if you have them.
I have a question.
Okay.
So you're in seventh density is consciousness, pure consciousness,
Mhm.
experienced as pure light.
Yes.
Is that
Yes.
that's the
And it's unformed. It's everywhere.
okay?
It's consciousness. It still has different aspects of it that we would perceive to be personality, but there is no physicality required to be tied to it. Sixth density is a light body and has form.
Sixth density.
Sixth density.
Okay.
When sixth density graduates to seventh density, then they lose the necessity of any physicality, any form. They're just, for our perception, pure light.
Okay. Wow.
And they're around too. And they're everywhere. There's not just one seventh density. There's seventh density, as from our perspective, is vast.
Wow. It's a lot to Wow. That's amazing to me how it becomes pure light and consciousness is. But I mean, there's nothing beyond the seventh density that we or aware of?
No, it's eighth density.
There is. Okay.
Yeah, there's eighth density, and then we're all back with the Creator. The only thing that distinguishes the Creator, intelligent infinity, from eighth density consciousness is the perception of free will. The eighth density perceives itself minutely to be separate from the Creator, that it actually has a separate personality or beingness than the Creator.
Okay, so that law that where you put the point and then or how it circles out, that same Creator, where you said the Creator becomes aware, that law still applies in higher densities.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. That the law of one is the one law.
Okay.
Everything else is a suggestion.
Okay.
Now, it's not really, it wouldn't really be accurate to say that we'd be back with God, would it, in that age?
Absolutely.
I mean, because we can't really be separated from God.
Well, that's
So it's
true,
just
but
a
it's all
matter
in
of
our
pers-
perception.
It's all perception, that's what I was
It's all
getting at.
perception. Right now, we are as one with God as we can get. We
That's
just don't know it.
Well, that's what the fine line is between eighth density and being one with Creator. You still have this minute sense of being separate from the Creator.
That's right. That's right. So, that's why the emphasis, we're not a spark, we're not made in the image of, nothing can be made outside of the Creator. We are just consciousness, but we perceive ourselves to be separate.
So when God said to Moses, when he was telling him to go down and talk to the people, and Moses asked him, well, who do I say you are? And he says, I am.
That's right.
So when you introduce yourself to somebody, you say, hi, I am.
Yeah, and to take it even further than that, it's not really I am, it's just I.
Take it further than that, that's not really God either.
Which gets us off into a philosophical conversation that
Yeah,
is not on the
I'm sorry, I
schedule.
didn't mean to open the door.
that happens so easily around here.
I'll close the door for now.
Yeah. Now, how this manifests in the expansion of creation, okay, is, I don't have another name for it, but it works very much like a franchise territory. So, I call it a franchise territory. And expansion into the logos, into the universes, begins with a decision to expand creation. And how that works is the perspective of 10 stars is grouped together. And I don't know how they decide which 10 stars are going to be grouped together. I haven't asked. But there are 10 stars that are grouped together. And an archetype, an aspect of the Creator, assumes residence in one of each of these 9 stars. And we have an extra star. And in our experience, we have, let me make sure I've covered everything here. Yeah, we have 10 stars. Our sun is one of 10 stars that make up what Ra calls Confederation of Planets in service to the one infinite Creator, which is just a made-up name. There's an infinity of confederations or federations. In each confederation or federation, same thing, is an accumulation of these 10 stars. Okay, so our sun is one of 10 stars. All of these stars are grouped in a binary configuration. Even though our scientists don't perceive them all as being binary, they all are binary. They say, oh, some of them are binary and some of them are singular. But from a spiritual perspective, there's always 2 of them grouped. Our sun actually has a binary partner that is in a rotational orbit around each other. It is in the formation stages. And it's going to take approximately another 25,000 years for it to assume sufficient physical form to house an aspect of the Creator. And the reason you have 10 is because you're going to have one aspect at least of these 9 archetypes that are going to be graduating. And so when a star graduates to 7th density, when a 6th density entity graduates to 7th density, it forms a black hole. It takes all of the energy that it has dispersed, rolls it all up, and all of the energy goes with the graduation. So Ra has graduated. Ra is now 7th density and preparing to roll up all of its energy, which is going to take approximately another 25,000 years. This other sun is forming and will be the new home of Ra. Okay? Our sun is actually the home of law, which is wisdom. And the way that expansion works is 6th density invests energy, its energy, Creator's energy, intelligent infinity, into us and disperses us among the planets that are in rotation around different stars. And apparently, from the way this is configured, a 6th density entity can create experiences outside of their solar system. We are a raw experience, but we are in a law geographic territory. Okay? In addition to us, we are a third, and let me explain a little bit farther. Each planet, okay, each star is home to a 6th density social memory complex. And each planet has within it 7 bodies. And I didn't leave myself enough room. Just say this is first density. This is 2nd. 3rd. 4th. And we'll go out of sequence here. 5th. And then 6th and 7th are there, but they're not occupied by the experience. Every planet has 7 bodies. We have 7 bodies. We again are in microcosm, the structure of the entire universe. Earth, right now, well, up until, forgot when, I think it was 1998, had activated 1st, 2nd, and 3rd density planetary bodies. 4, 5, 6, and 7 were in potentiation. They're here, but they're in potentiation. In 1998, 3rd density went into potentiation and 4th density became activated. 4th density Earth began to be activated in 1936, and it took from 1936 to 1998 for 4th density Earth to be fully activated. We are living in 3rd density on a 4th density planet since 1998. Which means consciousness has been, again, pulled up for us from the top. The vibration of the Earth has been literally increasing, escalating. In 1998 and before, the vibrational range of Earth was, I think, 7.83 hertz. And right now, it's close to 13.
Do you really see that in evidence in behavior?
It's evidence in behavior because the collective consciousness of the Earth in the year 2000 passed over the 200 level on the Hawkins scale for the first time in our history.
And it's improved since then too, but I'm just wondering if you see it in evidence yourself. I mean, is it...
Well, yes, and this is measurable. Geologists can measure this. The folks who go out and drill for oil and stuff like that, I mean, they have equipment that can measure the hertz vibration of the Earth. And it's been steadily increasing since 1998. So it's something that we can physically measure as well. But the collective consciousness of the Earth has been escalating since 98.
Now, to evolve from the third density to the fourth density, that's where the free will, is it a choice, or is it something
It is
that's
the
gonna-
choice.
I mean,
It is the
gonna happen
choice.
Whether,
Well, everybody's not going. In order to graduate from third density to fourth density is the one transition that requires a graduation. The others, fourth to fifth, and fifth to sixth, and so forth, are just when you're ready, you go. Okay? But graduation is required from third density to fourth density. And the requirement is that you have to make a choice. And the choice you have to make is whether you're going to be service to others and service to self. If you're going service to self, that's fine. But you have to demonstrate in thought and deed 95% service to self. If you're going service to others, you have to demonstrate 51% service to others in thought and deed. And that seems like a big disparagement there, but apparently it's not. It's relatively equal as far as the difficulty in maintaining those percentages of polarization. But if you don't make the choice, if you remain in fluctuation and in chaos, then you'll simply repeat third density again.
For 65 million years.
No, you have 75,000 years.
Yes,
76,825.6.
What's a year or two?
Right.
Okay? So,
it's a real bad timeout.
we're in overtime because third density on Earth ended December 26, 2011. Ended. That was the scheduled termination date. We're in holdover time. And in the original raw material, they talked about the holdover time extending for up to 700 years. Well, all that's changed. The holdover time, they decided to increase our DNA, which they did by 2 strands of DNA last May 6th. This December 21st, 2 more strands of DNA will be activated. And other things are going to happen too. But next August 6th, I think it is 223 days in between each of those dates. And I think it's August 6th of 2013 will be the cutoff date. That if you haven't made a decision whether you're going service to self or service to others, you're going to do third density again. You won't die. There's no Armageddon. You'll finish out your life. But if you haven't decided by next August 6th,
You won't even
the
go
train
to,
has left.
won't even go to hell.
Well, it depends on what you call third density. Depends on what you call third density. So, and there are lots of other things that are timed to this, and that's why they decided to move it up and put a cutoff date in there. Okay?
If the main growth period, the real intensive growth period is third, why not stay in third as much as possible and move as fast as possible?
Because Raw graduated, and Raw's got to roll up all of its energy.
So if you're in here in third density doing it, you're doing it on, boy, whatever energy you can create yourself.
No, I mean, Raw is still actively participating. You're doing it with lots of help. We've got more help now than we've ever had in our history. Yeah, there's lots of help. So we're not being abandoned by any means, but they're just saying, you know, as you've had, this is the 5th experience that we've had that we haven't if you're not graduating by now, it's not like you just started 2 weeks ago and all of a sudden, trying to graduate from third density. You started 850,000 years ago and hadn't made it yet. So you kind of, really?
But what do you mean by rolling up? If they roll up and you're still here in third density.
Now, when they roll up, you won't be.
Oh, okay.
But you see, the energy flows, everybody benefits. As one person in third density increases their level of consciousness, it's cumulative. I mean, the whole Raw experience benefits. So they want to get as many people up. And there's a lot more. We'll get into that next week. That's our topic next week, on individual, how we got here and where we're going and all that kind of stuff. Okay, our sun, within our little solar system that we look at every night, law is headquartered in our sun. Earth obviously is a third density planet, but we're a raw planet. And there are no other planets that are activated other than these right here, right now. Mars is a fully functional, active, fourth density, service to self planet. It is fully populated at fourth density. Venus is a fully occupied, active, fifth density, service to self planet. Both of those are of Ra as well. So Ra has 3 planets here. It has third density us, which is neither service to self nor service to others. It has Venus, which is a fifth density negative planet. And it has Mars, a fourth density negative planet. What we perceive to be Mars is the third density planet that is unoccupied. There is another planet on the other side of the sun, which our secret government is very familiar with, and it has activated right now first, second, third, fourth, and fifth. Third, fourth, and fifth are fully occupied. That it's called Tara, T-A-R-A. Tara is in the exact same stage of graduation that we are, of evolution. They're going through the end of their third density experience. They also have a fourth density planet that's fully occupied, fully functional, and a fifth density.
Are they service to others?
They're all service to others. So in our solar system, we have third density us, we have third density Tara, which are unpolarized because they're third density. We have a fourth density negative planet in Mars. We have a fifth density negative planet in Venus. And we have a fourth and fifth positive planet that are both on Tara.
When you go outside this solar system, and you've got, we've talked about it and also covered a lot in the raw material Orion area. Does Ra not have anything in that sector, or is it just stay the hell away from there?
It is Orion. The Orion group is headquartered in the Orion system, but it affects, since it is a concentration. Well, I got a couple other things that I'll add to that in a minute. But it affects a larger area than just their franchise area.
Did you say Tara, T-A-R-A?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay, and our franchise area was formed 2.6 billion years ago. And for the last 2.6 billion years, the universe has been expanding. Creation has been expanding. So we're suburban territory. We live in the suburbs. Okay? Now told you about Venus, told you about Tara. Ra is actually headquartered in Sirius B. And Sirius, S-I-R-I-U-S, is a binary star system. And Sirius B is a white dwarf sun. It's in the process of phasing out. It will become, in about another 25,000 years, a black hole. Because Ra's already left it. Ra is seventh density. It's already left it. So it's just closing up. It's sweeping out, getting rid of those things. But in the Sirius B system, there are 8 planets that are occupied. 3 of them are third density, which are all raw. 4, it has 4 fourth density planets, 2 of which are service to others, and 2 of which are service to self. It has 2 5D planets. 1 is service to self and 1 is service to others. Okay?
Before you move on, you just said, because I missed part of that and skipped over and on, in the Sirius B system, there are how many?
8 planets.
8 planets.
8 planets that are occupied. There may be more planets. These are the ones that are populated.
Right.
What's going on with when in 25,000 years that sun, white dwarf, becomes a black hole? And I think we can observe, we see, or we mathematically know that it sucks in physicality into it. What's going on with that?
They're going to 7th density.
So everything going through that hole is
Going
moving
to
from
7th
6th into 7th density.
Yeah, there's no loss. There's never any loss. Nothing's lost. Nothing is wasted. And there is a black hole at the center of our galaxy too, which is kind of like a public vacuum cleaner. You know, what gets loose or whatever's floating around, that's kind of the cleansing agent for the.
So it's not going to another sector of universe, it's simply moving out of this density.
Well, physicality is all an illusion, so it's not a matter of zipping it over. You know, we would perceive it as zipping it. Well, it's got to go somewhere because we can only think of things in space and time. But it's moving out of time. It's moving to a dimension that we can't conceive of. Okay.
So do you have to maintain a balance in the planets as well, since Mars is 4th density, Venus is 5th density, Earth is going to be 4th density, service to others, and then you have Terra that has the service to others, so it balances out the others. Is that a typical approach?
It's an energy balance rather than a numerical balance. Yeah, and that's the function of the Council of 9 or the / Sirius 5 Council, is to maintain balance among the 9 aspects.
And there's nothing particular going on with any of the other planets?
Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of.
What do you mean by nothing going on?
Well, there's not any occupation or 4th density activity or 5th density. There's not really anybody.
There's occupation of some kind of density there, isn't there?
It would
on
just
the
be
other
a
planets?
1st density is what it would be.
Yeah, you're talking about at
The other
our.
planets, yeah.
Yeah, they're just cooking. You know, they just got it on the stove simmering.
Basically first density, it's just the
Yes.
rocks and.
Yeah, the consciousness construct is in place to hold the planet there, and it's going through the process of just forming.
Wasn't there supposed to be something going on with Saturn's rings or something?
Well, that's where the Council of 9 is
Okay.
resolves, and it's actually on one of the moons. You know, they got a bunch of moons mingled in with
But, so the planet itself, though, is still cooking?
Right.
It's not in the ring. Is that moon in the ring?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just one of them.
yeah, and it's just, you know, it's like it's VFW pose, so they can get away from home and have a place to meet. I don't know what else to call it. It's just, you know, it's a central location, I guess. Not that they 6th density still needs a central location, I guess. I mean, their travel is instantaneous, but still.
Because all of the Council of 9 is 6th density, so that's a 6th density environment.
Yes.
You say that Mars and Venus are fully occupied. What are they occupied with?
Well, 4th density Mars is fourth
I mean, are
density
they
beings.
Creatures, or where are
Well,
they?
they're
Where
4th
do they
density
reside?
bodies. They're beyond our dimension.
People
we
like
can't.
us. People like us.
Yeah,
But just
I don't
in a
know.
different
I haven't
density.
asked what their body types are, but they're much more electric bodies. They're at they're higher density than we are. There's a 4th density existence right here on Earth, intermingling all around us that we can't perceive. When people, a lot of people that are coming in now hear voices, a lot of kids hear voices and things that are just believers because their vibration is higher and is able to hear the fourth density beings that are here.
What we might call angels, or what we might call ghosts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just bleed over a fourth density because our vibration is getting near that crossover point. Some of us aren't.
Sort of like being tuned into one radio station and another radio station cutting
It's
into
a good
it.
analogy. That's exactly what it is. You're just on the fringe of the frequency.
Right.
Yeah, exactly what it is.
So why does Sirius B only have 8 planets? Oh, just, it has more than 8 planets, you said, it was just 8 planets that were occupied, never
Right.
mind.
Yeah, I don't know how many planets. I didn't ask how many planets they had.
Because you had said at one point something about each grouping having 10 planets at minimum,
10 stars.
stars at minimum.
10 stars in the number of planets. And it's, again, apparently it's arbitrary as to how many planets that they can manage at one time. Ra has a total of 15 planets under its tutelage right now.
Do you find any that your guides have any humor?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, could they just be telling you a big joke?
No, I know my guys pretty well.
Would it be safe to say, like, if like NASA uses a telescope and finds a new planet or a new star, when that new body is discovered, then that's when it's occupied by consciousness? Is that sort of how this occupation is being developed?
Not really. What they perceive, we don't have the technology to even begin to identify additional dimensions and so forth. So pretty much what we're seeing is first, second, and third density planets. I mean, if it's physical, we can go out and knock on it and that kind of stuff. To us, our level of consciousness, then we can find it.
Then it's a third density.
Either first, second, or third.
Or second or third, okay.
Yeah. But there are, within our galaxy, there's approximately 67 million planets that are occupied in either third, fourth, or fifth density. And of that 67 million, between 5 and 6% are exactly like us, same body types. They could walk in here and we wouldn't know that they weren't from France.
So, and the alien
And
experience that people have could be a big combination of things. They could be experiencing a third or fourth or fifth density. They could be experiencing all kinds of things.
Yeah, fourth density will remain, when we begin, fourth density will remain relatively in isolation because we got to get used to being in fourth density. But fifth density and sixth density and upper fourth density interact all the time. I mean, that's how we learn. We learn with direct contact and communication with the higher densities. We don't have veiling. We don't have forgetting. It's entirely different from what we're experiencing. Even most 65% of other third density experiences don't have veiling. So it's significantly different from what our experience is. Okay. So Sirius A has 7 planets. It has 4 third density planets, 1 fourth density service to others, and 1 fifth density service to others. And I gave you a Sirius B, didn't I?
Yep.
Mm.
Can you say Sirius A again?
Sirius A has 7 planets, 4 3D planets, 1 4D planet, service to others, and 1 5D planet, service to others.
And the 4 3Ds were service to self?
3D is not polarized.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I'm sorry.
and then Alpha Centauri. And they may have different names for these, but I just named Alpha Centauri A and Alpha Centauri B. And Alpha Centauri A is home to Da, which is movement. And they have 6 planets, 4 3D, 2 4D, one of those is service to self, 1 5D, which is service to self.
Yeah, are these service to self, are they not very analytical? Are they not able to tell that they're not going to make progress unless they get? What's the deal there?
Well, what I get out of service to self, the emotion processing that we preach in that is healing, is not something that they choose to experience. That they have, relatively speaking, as we're defining consciousness, a relatively low consciousness from the standpoint of being able to generate their own energy and collect their own consciousness. In order for them to progress, they have to be very efficient thieves. They have to steal energy from themselves as well as third density. And that's how they collect, they amass enough energy in order to progress, which means that 5D is really, really, really efficient at dominating and stealing energy, not only from 4th density.
It looks like at 5th density they really begin to get some awareness there that, hey, I got to switch horses here.
Well, the awareness doesn't come until 6th density because you get to the point you can't go any farther.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but that's the beginnings of 6th density.
Mm-hmm.
But as you become more and more, I visualize it like trying to outrun a tsunami.
Uh-huh.
As long as you can keep running faster and faster, you can stay ahead of the tsunami. But eventually you get to the point where you can't go any faster.
They get some high ground.
You got to get some high ground, and you got to surrender. You still got to do all the healing, but you're doing massive amounts of healing. But there's only a very few. I mean, if you look at the number of 5D planets here, there's one 5D service to self entity on each of these planets. There's one dude on Venus.
One.
Thoth is the dude. Thoth the Egyptian. I mean, he's, there are not many 5D negative entities.
Luldabath. Oh, that Luldabath was the Gnostic version of Yahweh at that time.
Well, I don't know what all, he's got bazillions of different names.
Yeah.
So when you said,
Metatron.
Or Lucifer even.
No, Lucifer is the 6D aspect. It's just simply unconsciousness.
Yeah.
you said Venus 5th density, service to self, and you were saying that that's actually thought.
That's thought.
So it's not fully populated,
It's fully, no, you only have it's fully
it's-
populated with one 5D entity.
One 5D entity.
It doesn't share well. Can I tell you?
Well, he's got a lot of room.
Is he recognized there, or is he recognized as being the boss?
He's the only dude there. He's the,
But he's
Oh.
5th density, so he's the beginning stages of a social memory complex in a way.
what?
At 5th density, he'd be at the starting.
It's the path of separation. There is no social memory complex formed on the negative path. It's the path of separation. You're totally on your own. That's why we talked about last week, most of the 4th density service to self entities are in 4th density.
Right.
An island unto
And they're
himself.
trying to get that spot and get out.
Which means they've got to get stronger than he is, but he's stealing all their energy.
Vampire.
Well, he gets a percentage of what everybody else makes. It's like the Roman Empire. How are you going to get around it? You can't. And he's not going to die. It's not
So-
likely he's moving.
So Thoth doesn't need a 4th density group on the same planet in order to steal energy. Just steals energy.
He's a very powerful individual.
He can come in here and steal.
Well, he does.
Come in.
He's there all the time.
So we
He's,
can,
he most of the fear that we have experienced all the hierarchical structure, the military structure, the religious structure, all of that is all created by thought. All of it. All of his devices, all of his creations. Because it generates fear. Anything that smacks of elitism or seeds of separation, anything that preaches any kind of fear at all or stimulates fear is all thought. And your imagination can run wild with that. Anything that has a hierarchy to it is a thought creation.
So he's different than from, say, the Orion group?
He's part of the Orion group.
Okay.
The Orion group, you know, it's the Orion group is the Empire in Star Wars.
Mm.
The Darth Vader.
Yeah. Okay. Alpha Centauri B, home to SAW, SA, which is awakeness or awareness. 7 planets, 2 3D, 4 4D, 2 of those is service to self. 1 5D, service to others. Cephas A and Cephas B.
Cephas is in CE.
CEPHEUS. And then Cephas A is home to Yah, which is unity. 4 planets, 2 3D, 3 4D. 2 of those are service to self. 1 5D, service to others. And then Cephas B is home to Melchizedek, which is free will. And there are 11 planets. Now, Melchizedek does not start its own experiences. As we are a raw experience, Melchizedek does not start its own experience. It simply invests in everybody else's experience. The same with Lucifer. Lucifer does not run its own experience. Lucifer normally invests 7 to 8% of the energy in an experience. In our experience, he felt really good about it, so he invested 12%. So we have more unconsciousness here than is normal.
And they recognize that they're part of the process.
They're just part
That
of the
they're the
process.
catalyst, that they're a necessary part, they're the catalyst.
Absolutely.
This
Yeah.
is 11 planets for Cephas B.
The 11 planets, yeah. 2 3D, 5 4D, 3 of those are service to self. 3 5D, 1 service to self.
Can you do Cephas A one more time? 4 planets, 2 are 3D.
Which one?
Cephas A.
Cephas A is 4 planets, 2 3D, 3 4D, 2 service to self. That doesn't add up,
No,
does
it
it?
doesn't.
Okay. I must have typed it wrong. I'll find out what those are supposed to be for you. If you want to. And then Zeta Reticula. Zeta Reticula A and Zeta Reticula B. And Zeta Reticula has, for the most part, a body type like the Greys, only they're shorter and they have a mouth with teeth. And, you know, it's just a different body type. And some of these are Greys as well. I think, I'm not positive, I think the 4th density on Mars is what we perceive to be Greys. They're tall, thin. I know some of the planets in Sirius B territory are Greys as well. They're just different body types. I mean, it doesn't mean they're good or they're bad or whatever, just like us. I mean, you know, some humans are more desirable to hang out with than others.
But are they more aware than we are?
Well, and if they're in higher density, their third density is no more aware than we are. If they have the same criteria, they can start with the same obstacles.
So Zeta Reticula A,
Zeta Reticula A is home of Ka, non-movement. It has 4 planets. And those numbers don't add up either. I'm sorry. Let me give you the rest of it, and I'll clarify the number of planets. I just must have typed it wrong. Zeta Reticula B is home to Lucifer, unconsciousness. And I've got that it has 7 planets, but before you write that down, I'll confirm those for you.
so how did it come about that, I mean, you said that for Zeta Reticula, you haven't mentioned body types on any of the other ones, so why for Zeta Reticula A?
Well, because there's one of the planets, one of the 5D planets in Sirius B is home to Arcturians, and they're very interactive with Earth, have been for a long time, and they are grays in
Sirius A?
And Sirius B.
Sirius B.
And there's another planet that is in Sirius, the Zeta Reticula is divided, and they're identified a lot by folks as aliens. And they look very similar to grays, except they're short, significantly shorter, and have a mouth with teeth in it, and the grays don't have a visible.
Means they must eat.
Huh?
Means they must eat.
Or by
Instead of taking in energy. And
They
stuff
all
like
eat.
that.
You eat through 6th density, but what you eat is entirely different from what we eat.
If they don't have the mouth, then they would take it in some other way. Do the guides warn you against any particular one, the Pleiades or the Arcturians or the reptilians, or is there any kind of warning that comes to you from the guides about what to watch for, what to stay
No, we're
away from?
extremely protected. I mean, and that you can't simply say that one is bad and one is good. I mean, David Icke is consumed with draconians, and draconians are the reptilians.
Reptilian, yeah.
And they're, some of them are good, some of them are not good. It's just, how they polarize. So you can't just, throw them all in a basket. But the ones, whomever has been interacting with us during our history has been service to self, because they don't recognize the
rules of
the prime directive.
He's more concerned with the way they're influencing their.
Well, that's what they do. I mean, they're stealing energy from us. I mean, they've got to get energy to support themselves so they can pay their dues to the 5th density guy. Arcturians are 5th density, positive. And they've been very interactive with our existence here.
Dean, are they the ones in the raw material who worked with Eisenhower that we covered?
I don't know. I don't know who visited with Eisenhower.
And you said they were 4th density service to self,
What is?
Arcturian.
No, 5th density service to others.
5th density service to others. I don't have 5th density.
So they're really somebody you ought to get to know.
Absolutely. You do know them. And, the just went blank on them. The Hathors are 4th density planets, and they're very interactive with us. We're cute.
Did you say the Hathors or the Cathars?
Hathors?
Hathors.
Hathor. Yes. We're cute little creatures down here, and so several they help. They've adopted us, help us along. All with the consent of our higher selves, with 6th density. I mean, that's the thing. The difference between service to self and service to others. Service to self, there are no secrets. Everything is very cooperative. If help is needed over here, then there's more than enough volunteers to come over here and help, and with this and that and the other. Service to self is exactly the opposite. It is very oppressive. They're stealing energy. They've got to steal your energy in order to survive, in order to live.
Where are the Hathors?
Hathors, I think, are in Sirius B also. I'm not positive about that.
You
but
really,
they are of wrong.
you really have that in this parable of the Good Samaritan, where the ones pass by on the other side. They're in service to self. They don't want to be bothered.
Either that or they're undecided.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we've gone way over our time again tonight. I apologize. I was talking as fast as I could. And I'll correct those, the number of planets for you. I just typed those wrong in my notes. Next week we're going to cover the history of humanity and how humanity started and fits into all of this stuff, and why we are where we are, and why we're not someplace else.
Thank you, Dean, very much.
You welcome. Thank you.
You want to? You just press the button.
Yeah, just hit the button again.
Could you give me a